She is completely unexplainable. You think she's a good girl, but once you get to know her, you realize she's everything. She's crazy, she's funny, she's honest, and you never know what she'll do next.
Here we are again. We're back. We're back, and we're so happy to be back. And today, I have a surprise guest because actually I had a couple of guests that had like emergency COVID thing come up and a family emergency come up. So then I think, what was it? Tony? This is Tony Gunn. What was it, Tony? Last night or was it the night before? I was like, just mention the studio. Can you do my show tomorrow? What was it?
It was two nights ago and it worked out perfectly, actually.
Yeah, it's been perfect. So anyway, I've learned just a little bit about Tony Gunn, who I've seen in the studio. I've heard he has a great story. I can see that you have a great following on social media, and I want to hear about how you got that. And I just want to hear a little bit about you, Tony, and how you got started. And I don't know. Is there anything else I'm supposed to say right now? I'm not sure.
That's a great way to start, I think.
I'm not really sure. I can't remember. I'm a little off track. I've been dealing with real estate emergencies this morning. I haven't even had a chance to look at my notes yet today, Tony. So.
This is the best part about podcasting, I think, is when we get to multitask and really just wing it.
I must have made it. This is show number 21 for
Congratulations.
us today. 21. So we're happy to have you here. Now tell me, Tony, how did you get started? What was your mission when you did you graduate college?
Did not. I got kicked out of 3 of them.
That's what you told me. I was like, this guy got kicked out of 3 colleges. He must have some story.
There's stories upon stories, my friend.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town just outside of Richmond, Virginia. 10 acres of land on 1,000 acres of land with 5 other houses only. And it was so small that my dad actually built me a soccer field because I grew up as a soccer player chasing the professional dream, So I had a whole field in my backyard.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. And so you grew up as a soccer player.
Yes, and attempting soccer. I got real darn close. Tracy. I played in college before getting kicked out. I got recruited, highly recruited, but the problem with that was I actually dropped out of high school my junior year for half a semester before going back to summer school and graduating on time. I've been told that I'm quite clever, but I just cannot sit in a classroom and take orders. Okay. And that's always been my issue.
So I want to hear how you got kicked out of 3 colleges next. What's going on here?
Oh, it's so easy. It's so easy to do. So, all right, my senior year of high school, I got like a 3.8 GPA that final year. I dedicated myself. I'm like, this year is going to be the year. But overall, from my years in high school, it ended up being a 1.26 GPA. So I graduated at number 129 out of 132, and I don't think the other 3 graduated at all.
Oh my
so
goodness.
I was at the very end with a 3.8 my high school year. So I ended up going to a junior college, even though I was highly recruited by D1s for soccer. And I was like, I'm doing this. I'm actually going to get good at school. It didn't happen. But I did do it long enough to get both of my 2 years in at the JUCO college before they kicked me out for my grades. And it's always going to be about grades, Tracy.
You must have been really well-rounded, though. That's what my mom always told me. It's because I'm really well-rounded. That's why my sisters got straight A's and I got B's, because I'm more well-rounded. Now, is that kind of what you were like, more well-rounded?
I think you're smarter than me. I just think you're smarter than me. At the end of the day, you're more well-rounded. You're far more clever.
You just met me, Tony. That's jumping to conclusions.
Sometimes you just know, don't you, audience? Sometimes you just know. I'm really good at working with my hands and doing things on task, but memorizing, repeating, doing the robotic things, I was just never good at. I mean, currently, and get this, by the way, Tracy, I don't think I ever made it past maybe Algebra 1, something like that. And I am, as you can see from this award, Top Business Leader of the Year in Engineering for 2024 is currently where I sit. And some people go, well, doesn't engineering have math? Yeah, it kind of does. Yeah. But my brain works really well when I'm doing coding inside machines and working hands-on in an engineering world instead of the theoretical aspects of how it might work on a chalkboard. So that's the difference in how my brain works. So yeah.
Okay, so tell me, Tony, after you got kicked out of 3 colleges, soccer didn't work out, then what did you decide you wanted to do?
All right, Tracy, I know this show and what you like to talk about a lot is overcoming trials, right?
I want to hear how you overcame whatever trial you had.
So I'm getting ready to describe something for you, Tracy, that is one of the first major trials. So
we all have trials, right?
We do.
Everybody has trials. And however you perceive the trial is often what makes it more of a trial for you. If it's however surmountable you see the challenge in front of you, right?
And the cliche statement of it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down, it's all about getting up. I mean,
Exactly.
we all, as you say, we're all going to have failures, but how do we respond to a failure?
Right. That's what's a really important part,
And that's
right?
and so when I was kicked out of 3 colleges, I went back to my small town, and I was still semi-pursuing a professional career. I was playing on, the farm team at a professional level to try and get recruited and get onto, at that time, DC United. I had sexual intercourse at a young age, very young age, and the first time I slept with this young lady, I ended up making a baby.
Oh.
And so
I was gonna say, didn't see it going there. But
I was
okay.
a 20 to 21-year-old father, and ended up going immediately to work and figuring out what am I going to do to take care of this
Wow.
beautiful blessing that just came into my life by a complete accident.
Is
So
that
that's
the
first step.
Is that the woman that's in your life right now?
She is 23 years
Wow,
old
that's
now.
amazing.
Yeah,
That's
she is
wonderful.
incredible. She loves animals, working to be a vet, has a part-time gig as a dog walker. Despite me, she's still become an amazing human. I don't know how that happened,
That's
but
incredible.
that was
you
one
must
of the
be an amazing human.
well,
We're just gonna find out and decide.
we'll figure that out later, right? So that was one of the first big trials, but I was not a great teenager, Tracy. I was a real jerk. Looking back on it, and I believe in what you put out comes back to you and what happens with karma. And I think that karma found me in my early 20s, from about 20 to 24. And some of what I'm about to describe isn't all about me. It's just turbulence that happened in a very close radius around me. So my brother ended up burning down our house. Being diagnosed with schizophrenia, put in jail for a year. My sister lost her son at 4 years old. My other sister gave up a son for adoption. I was working on growing my family with almost zero money and trying to figure out how to make that work. I ended up going to the hospital with viral pneumonia, which suffocated and killed me, and I had to physically beat myself to get the fluid out of my lungs in order to survive that whole thing after 3 specialists came into the hospital. So there was a whole array of just really difficult situations, including being temporarily homeless for a little while, that tested my morale, tested my courage, tested my belief in myself and humanity around me. And ultimately, once we get to where we are today, we'll see over 1 million miles around the world, over 60 countries, written 2 books, been on the cover of 3 magazines, engineer of the year, general manager of the most popular media channel on the planet for manufacturing. I'm 45 years old now.
That's amazing.
But every decade is something new. I started a natural healing company in 2014 where 100% of the profits actually went to charity because we wanted to give back to the world. And in doing that, I pursued how to do natural healing in about 30 countries, which included all of the natural medicines that the people out there might be thinking about. Yes, cannabis, mushrooms, peyote, ayahuasca, DMT, these earth medicines that either make us go crazy or bring clarity. That's up to you to decide. But all of these different decades have brought this really full version of myself that I'm truly loving today.
Do you still have that business, the holistic?
I actually gave it away at the beginning of COVID because I wanted to help out a friend. And I threw all my stuff into storage and went backpacking through Mexico because I don't do stress and worry. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm going to just go and swim in cenotes. And
what was your wife doing then?
she was with me. We put it in storage. I took my younger daughter. I took my wife, and we went backpacking through Mexico together.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Well, what an incredible story. Now tell me about the books you've written. Tell me how that came to be.
So, all right, the first book I wrote was written in about a week and a half to 2 weeks. And I was in the middle of Mexico, which is the only real natural place in the world right now where peyote grows. And I was with a shaman, receiving some what I believe to be some very beautiful messages that I knew I was going to eventually forget. And I needed to get this down on paper, Tracy. So I wrote this book in about 2 weeks before I lost that information. So it's bookended by my adventures from hiking volcanoes that are erupting in Bali to almost dying hiking in Seattle in the snow to, swimming with whale sharks in the Philippines. But the center and the core of it is a really powerful message about love and connecting to unconditional universal love that's all around us all the time. And that's what's in the center of the first book.
Amazing. I love the idea of writing your thoughts down. I'm the same way. That's why I've written my blogs. That's why we have blog time here, because I've written 100 blogs of when I lived in Miami, and crazy things were happening to me, passionate things were happening to me, but I had to just document them on paper because I knew I'd forget if I didn't. And that's probably the same way you were feeling, that you would
Absolutely
just put it down on paper. How have your books done? Have you had them on Amazon or?
The one that I first wrote, I kept all to myself, except for the people that I felt connected with information like that. The second book went international #1 in 6 countries.
A Journey of Riches.
And this one is, I was actually just having a glass of wine in Bali, and the person who puts these books together, I believe this is number 16 or 17, but he does them regularly, and he brings a core group of somewhere between 9 and 14 authors together, and everyone writes a chapter. So by amplifying each other's voice, it ended up going #1 in 6 countries in all sorts of different categories, from religious to spiritual to meditation, all sorts of different things, just based on a journey of riches. And we all told our story about building your dreams. How did you work to build your dreams to get to where you are today?
Now, what are you doing today?
Well, now I am the global general manager of the most popular news channel in the world for manufacturing and engineering. So my job is to travel the world, bringing technology to life, connecting to an audience outside of manufacturing, new technology that inspires, creates, the hearing aids, the things that people can see, satellites, cars, planes, phones, everything around us is made by manufacturing. So it's my job in an industry that's overlooked all the time, including the laptop and the TV and the screens we're talking on right now, the microphones, all made by manufacturing, but traditionally overlooked. So how do we bring the cool back again? Because we offshored all of it in the 90s. Now we're bringing it back, and that's part of our gig, is just sharing stories, highlighting technology, and I get to travel the world doing it.
Yeah, I noticed, because I was searching your name, and I noticed on YouTube, there's another Tony Gunn, and he's a wrestler with a big long beard. And I was like looking at him really close. I'm like, could that be him? I don't think so. He's a lot younger than that guy. But then I did see you at a conference or something like that. And I go to a lot of conferences too. I don't know if you know this, but my family owns the American Chiropractor magazine. And I go to a lot of chiropractic conferences. We have one coming up at the end of February that I travel to with my family for the American Chiropractor magazine. And my father founded it 45 years ago as a chiropractor. And so how many conferences do you go to?
20 a year, maybe. I'm off to Vegas on Saturday. Then I fly down to Mexico for one next week, the following week. And it goes on and on and on, and it's around the world. Tons of conferences.
Wow, that's amazing. And so your job basically is to report when you're at the conferences. Is that what it is?
That is also correct.
Because I report when I'm at the conferences too, but I'm not sure I'm getting paid any extra for that. But that's not really my, I don't know. I just do it for fun. But I could see myself in you when you're walking around talking to all the vendors and things like that, right? Are there specific vendors that you're looking for at the shows?
So depending on the partnership, the answer is absolutely yes. Sometimes it's to create awareness and excitement for the event before we get started. We'll do podcasting like we're doing now. We'll do social media, but also we'll go into specific booths as we've been hired to go film in certain locations to highlight technology, to highlight conversations.
Now, you said you'd been to, 60 countries? Is that what you said?
It's over 60 at this point. I've kind of stopped counting, if I'm being honest.
Is that through your going to the conferences and things is that why you've done so much?
About 60, 40, 70, 30. Yeah, 40%, 30% is just personal, loving life and loving the world and loving people and loving food and adventure. But I would say that work has driven that initially.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well,
how about yourself?
Well, I travel, I don't travel as much as I'd like to. Just this last year, I went to Transylvania for Halloween.
Did you?
I also went to Cuba. After my dad died, I got some invitations that kind of sparked my interest, and thought, what the heck, I'm still alive, so I'm gonna go.
And how was it?
It was great. I mean, it was great traveling around and seeing the world. But I have to say, I won't be returning to either one, I don't think. And in fact, the people that I went to Cuba with keep saying, "Are we gonna go back to Cuba? When are we gonna go back to Cuba?" And I'm like, look, we're not going to Cuba unless we can stay at the Malia, which is the one that only takes the British credit cards and has the cigar bar in it. And that's the way to live if you're going to go to Cuba. But Cuba is really a step back in time.
I've heard that rumor. I've not done Cuba, but I've heard that. And I think a lot of people appreciate Cuba because it is a true step back.
It is.
40 years or so, right? The cars that are driving around,
Yeah.
the way the infrastructure is. I've heard wonderful things.
Have you been to Greece?
I have.
That's where I want to go. That's on my bucket list.
Highly recommended.
Have you been to Santorini?
I have not been to Santorini.
I might be getting married in Santorini. I don't know. Haven't picked out a prospect yet, but just putting it out there to the universe.
Yeah, I was going to ask that question.
Just putting it out there to the universe.
Trying to manifest it.
Right, Ben, I'm manifesting. He knows. So anyway, I've been listening to a lot of YouTube. I don't know. What do you feel about manifesting?
Well, the same as karma, my belief is what you put out, you receive. So whether it's words, whether it's energy, however we want to create things, I do believe in how that law works, yes.
You know, I think it's a constant struggle and a constant challenge to keep your thoughts positive enough to be manifesting the correct stuff to you.
I agree with you, Tracy, but here's a little trick. You ready to hear a little trick?
What?
So the majority of people live a pretty busy life, oftentimes can be a stressful life.
Right.
And so keeping thoughts positive all the time is damn near impossible. It's just you're gonna think about things, right? No matter how Buddhist we might say we are. So what I've found...
Buddhist? I'm not sure I said it was Buddhist anytime recently.
The meditation stuff, you know what I mean? The Hindu, Buddhist, there's a lot of meditation in that stuff, right? So what I like to do is wake up in the morning and say I am statements. And I love to do it during a sunrise. I am strong. I am brave. I am powerful. I am love. And I like to go to bed with gratitude. This is the good things that happen to me. And then I spend 30 minutes a day, any 30 minutes, and just focus on the things that are stressing me. So I don't ignore them or bury them. I call attention to them. So they are given awareness, but I start and finish my day. So the majority of my building myself up and laying myself back down to dream is about love and gratitude and appreciating those things. So even throughout the day, if we can't be perfect, which none of us are, we are creating a situation that remains positive on the most important aspects, the morning and the evening.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And what I've done in my own life, because it is sometimes a challenge for me, is I've been finding YouTube videos that are 8-hour videos, and I'm the girl that couldn't sleep when anybody was talking, you know, but I've been now, before I go to sleep at night, I choose which video that has a calming voice to listen to, or even rain in the background maybe, to listen to that's just feeding me with those positive thoughts all night long, so that when I wake up in the morning, I am feeling positive and like I can accomplish anything and I can do anything. And that's it's I feel it's a constant something you have to work on all the time is keeping yourself positive and
Agreed.
Keeping yourself active and keeping yourself, you know, getting things done and achieving what you want to. Is that the way you feel too?
Yeah, exactly right. Tracy, you've done this enough. You've been doing this long enough to know that what you just said is true for a lot of people. And I'm by no means here to say that the same thing works for everyone and we all have our own route and our own path and our own journey and our own adventure. But I find that to be true more times than not, that we're constantly evolving and something. And I think ultimately our higher selves wants to constantly create new paths for us to go down, right? For us to not just remain smooth sailing all the time because we'd be bored. We like having the adventure of what a human life is like.
Yeah, I agree. So I want to ask you something. I want to know, how does that make you feel? Because I'm not going to be doing my blog this time like I normally do. Today I'm going to be doing something I touched on a little bit last week. I think it's really I have questions that attack me in the week, and I'm just like, how does that make you feel? I'm like, I've got to ask someone else. How does that make you feel when that happens? So, anyway, I've got some questions for you. Some interesting things that happened in my life, and I just want to know how you feel when you see this or when this happens to you. So, the first thing I was thinking of, docksiders. Remember docksiders?
Not a clue.
You must be much younger than me.
I have no. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is.
Ben, help me here. Docksiders. They have like a little white plank on the bottom of the shoe, and they've got like a leather on the top part of it. I was gonna send it to you, Ben, but anyway, they're docksiders.
It's like Sperry's, right?
What?
Like Sperry's. Here, I'll show you a picture.
Put a picture
I'll
up?
put a picture for you.
We can check these out. So he'll know
Docksiders?
what I'm talking about. How do you feel when you see docksiders? When you see a man wearing docksiders?
I'm pretty sure I'm not going to care.
Let me see what you're wearing. You're wearing gym shoes. Okay.
I'm wearing
Well,
Vans.
anyway, just for me, I'm just like, not my type. Like, maybe I'm thinking he might be stuck back in time. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Are these them right here? Let's see.
Yes, those are Darksiders.
Oh, they look comfy.
Yeah, I've worn a couple.
But
of
I'm
these.
just like, aren't they over? Aren't they? They must be over because you've never heard of them. Do you boat?
No, I actually get really seasick.
Yeah, I get seasick too, but I don't let that stop me. I
would love
you gotta
to.
keep the boat moving. You just can't be rocking in the water. That's all I think.
That happens a lot
But anyway,
too. Yeah.
okay, so that's Docksiders. All right, we've established, maybe they're not the top choice for fashion. Is that what we're gonna say?
I have no idea about
'Cause
fashion.
you don't even know what they are.
I don't know what fashion's all about.
Okay,
I just do whatever feels good.
All right, well, the next one. The next one is my favorite one, and this is the finger. Okay.
The
Is that
finger?
still a thing?
Like the
Do
middle one?
people
Like the bad
still-
one?
Do people still give each other the finger? Like I was sitting at Johnny Brown's listening to live music. Do you ever go there in Delray?
I've not been to Johnny Brown's, but I have loved live music.
Okay, well, there was a man there that was so passionate, and he stood up on a chair and started giving the finger, but like over and over and over and over and over, and he wouldn't stop. And I was just sitting there looking at him, and I was thinking, is that still a thing? Do people still give each other the finger? I mean, does that mean anything to anybody anymore? Like,
Yeah.
is it
It
still a
most
thing?
definitely does, yeah.
Ben,
Especially
you're
when you're
young.
like,
Is that still a thing?
I think the finger's still a thing.
Yeah.
But
It's still a thing?
Yeah.
and
was
people in cars all the time honking at each other, giving
Yeah.
each other fingers. Yeah.
I think
was
that's when I see
I
it
don't
the
know if
most.
that's still a thing. I haven't seen a finger in a while.
Maybe
So
you'd be a good
I-
driver or a nice
There
person.
you go.
I don't know. But anyway, that's the other one. I thought that was the funniest one. Okay. So then the other one is in a parallel parking situation. This is something that's been occurring to me a lot lately.
Mm-hmm.
Who is the one that's being unreasonable? If it's the car that you're waiting for taking a lot of time to get out, or is it you waiting in your car to get in their spot? If there's no movement happening, if cars are lining up behind you, who is the one being unreasonable? Is it the one in the parking spot that won't get out? Or is it you waiting?
It's a good question, honestly. In my opinion, if nothing,
good question.
These are the things that perplex me. I think about these things overnight.
if nothing is happening, then I think it's the person waiting. But if there's movement and awareness from both parties saying, I will be moving, then it's the speed of the person who will be moving. But if there's no acknowledgement, then it's just blocking up traffic. You don't know when that person's going to get out.
Just this weekend, did that happen
Yeah.
before we got to Johnny Brown's? My girlfriend was looking for a spot, and we're waiting and lining up traffic behind us, and she was getting kind of, stressed. And I said, just be patient. I said, we know they're getting in their car. They're waiting. They're leaving. Then we pull up beside the car to see what they're doing. They're just in there like fiddling around doing something. Like the woman is talking to somebody in the back of the car. They're all just kind of doing something. Like we don't even exist. So I was just wondering, who's the unreasonable one? Is it them? Or is it us expecting them to get out of their spot because they put their...
In that situation, I actually put it on you. I put it on the waiter.
The waiter.
One of my least favorite things is to be in a car and being forced at a certain time to leave my spot
That's what I'm wondering. I'm
traffic's
not saying
building
we're not
up.
wrong. I'm not expecting you to say we're right. Wait, this is the feedback I'm getting from my podcast, and you're going to have to tell me what you think by posting down below. But people are saying that maybe if me asking Ben all the time, they figure Ben's on my team. So Ben's going to disagree with me. And they think Ben is young. Ben probably doesn't have an opinion.
He's just a yes man? Is that what we're saying?
So
He
yeah,
has no
no way.
opinion?
Yeah.
I disagree with Tracy
Down below
sometimes.
and let me know what you think. If you think Ben can answer my questions or not, or if I need to always have someone subjective in that I don't know and just invite them into my podcast and hear what they think of my things that I'm thinking about.
To be fair, the person sitting should be respectful to the area that's going on around them. But at the same time, if that's not happening, we can't clog up traffic either. That's the end of that one. Do you have more of those? Those are fun. What else you been
I'm
thinking
not
about,
done
Tracy?
yet. I'm not done yet. Okay, here's another one. What do you think of a person waiting in the bathroom for the handicap stall with a dog? She's perfectly able to walk around. She's waiting in the handicap stall, waiting to go in the handicap stall, and she has a dog.
How big's the dog? Because sometimes you can't fit in the small ones.
Medium. Could have fit.
Gosh, this is a good one too. Because one time I needed to use the restroom quite badly, and I went into the handicap stall, and literally at that moment, a handicapped person came in and yelled at me because his stall was taken.
All right, so here we go.
It's a conversation, right?
This is why it's something to me, because this happened to me recently, where I pulled up to the post office or FedEx over here, and they only have like 2 parking spaces there. So I heard, and I left something inside. I just parked in the handicap stall to run inside, get something, and run out to my car. While I did that, I swear the cops are out there looking and looking and looking. They gave me a ticket. So then when I left, I got like a $200 ticket for parking in the handicap stall. And my joke has been with my sister always. She said, well, I always go in the handicap stall. She said, I figure they have the life in there. That's her famous quote. I figure they have the life in there. So that's been our joke. It's been our joke. Like, they have the life in there. But seriously, now I'm sensitive to it, because when I came back after getting the ticket and said to the lady that hobbled in, I chose my audience poorly. I said to her that I got a ticket while waiting to get something, because I just parked in the handicap stall for a minute. And her response was, why on earth would you park in the handicap stall? Like, she just let me have it. And then, so ever since then, I've been very sensitive to this. It's like, they have their space for a reason, you know? So in that fact, then when I see this person waiting with their dog to go in the handicap stall, and then the same weekend, I was in the bathroom and I saw a handicapped person waiting for someone to come out of the handicap stall. So I'm just wondering, what is your thought on that?
It's kind of the same as you. Everything's situational in life, right? Like, we want to try to do our best in every situation we can, but sometimes we fail. And same with the one when I was in there. I didn't want to be there, but I had to be there, and I felt really bad about being there. And I pay attention just like you with the time you parked in the spot, where you think about it more now. But at the same time, everything's situational. Maybe the dog doesn't fit. Maybe it's a service dog, and that person needs to have that dog with them. I don't know the answer, but I can say that I know enough to know that I don't know anything at all, Tracy. I'm just learning with you.
I know. I'm looking for answers. I'm just looking
There's
for
never
answers.
a solid answer, it seems like. There's always a discussion.
I'm 55 years old. I still don't know all the answers. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, now this is another one. All right, so you're in a full bathroom, and then you notice someone getting 6 towels to dry their hands. Like, everybody has to wait for this, because you have to press the button for a towel to come out, press the button for a towel to come out, so everybody's waiting for this person to get 6 towels to dry her hands. Does that make you pause? Does that make you pause and think, what do you think?
This, for me, is very similar to the parking situation. You should know your surroundings. If no one's waiting, get your 6 towels. But if you got people waiting on you, then maybe 2 is good. And at the same time, what a great opportunity to learn more about patience. Okay. Every day we get to learn about patience.
Okay, now this is something that I'm not sure what you're going to think of this question.
Oh, goodness.
This is something that someone asked me. Someone asked me this, and they asked me on a dating app. I've got to give you my full environment here. They said, are you truly a sexual person that feels sexual, or do you just do sexual things that you think the other person is going to like? That's an interesting question, if you think about it.
Both. I think in a good sexual, healthy relationship, both partners do things for each other, and ultimately, because you're pleasing the other one, it's satisfying for you as well.
Okay, I agree with that. I agree. Okay, and when you are manifesting before you go to sleep, and the video or audio starts playing loud music, like that's part of the manifesting video.
It's like a commercial or something, right?
How does that make you feel when you're woken and awake out of your manifesting, and all of a sudden there's like some background music in the manifesting video, or the whatever the what is it called when you have things to recite?
I'm not sure. Things to recite? Like a mantra?
Sure. Yeah, the mantras.
Okay.
Like, you got the mantras going on. You're listening to mantras. You're sleeping. And all of a sudden the mantras have this like loud music going on in the background. How does that make you feel?
A little bit frustrated, certainly startled, and I go, damn, I should have paid my $9.99 for my Spotify fee. Why are these commercials coming on in the middle of the night?
Exactly. Okay. Last one. All right. Are you on Facebook at all?
No. Not that cesspool.
Okay. Well, when you put up reels, or when you put up a reel on Facebook, I don't think there's any way to change it. If you misspell a word, or if you put up something wrong, don't finish your sentence. Is there, Ben? I don't think there is.
I don't think. I mean, you should be able to edit it.
So Ben, since you do that too, as slanted as you might be to agree with me that it's frustrating, well, how does that make you feel?
What if you put something wrong?
When you put a reel up and you can't change it because you misspelled a word and it won't let you go back and change it.
Delete it and do it again.
Yeah, if I can delete it and do it again, but if you can't get all the content, it does.
There's a lot of information to enter. If you have to really not be happy about that misspelling.
Can you not copy it and then paste it, but change the one piece, and then after you've copied it, delete it, paste, change the one piece, and resubmit it?
I don't know. I guess I'll have to try that.
I've done that before on other sites. I am on LinkedIn and Instagram, just not Facebook.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So I do the editing stuff a lot.
All right. Well, so that's that. That's my how does it make you feel portion of the show now. You got to post below what you think, your answers to the questions I asked. I'd love to hear what you think. And how does that make you feel? Okay? Because now it's time for the Real Estate Minute. Okay, this is going to be housing predictions for 2024 by Bankrate. Okay, they had some key takeaways in the article that I read. First, low levels of inventory mean that sellers continue to have the upper hand in the housing market. Mortgage rates have come down from their peak, but are still high, and steep home prices are dissuading would-be buyers. If rates were to drop further in 2024, that would spur the market for both buyers and sellers. So that's just a minute. I've noticed my real estate minute usually goes about 3 minutes, but I'm trying to keep it a little shorter for you. Because someone told me, oh, a real estate minute, that's about all the real estate I want to handle right now. But so I'm trying to keep it a little bit shorter for you. But anyway, like I said before, you know, if you come in right now, you're probably still going to get a good deal. The sooner you can, the better. And, you know, if you have a realtor, please work with your realtor. Your realtor is the best person to get you the best price on anything that you buy, sell, or invest right now. And if you don't have a realtor, please reach out to me and I can find you one in your area. Let me know what you're looking for. If you're looking for commercial, residential, anything, I'd be happy to help you. And I'm with Keller Williams. We have a full team, and my number's there on the screen that you can call, leave a message, and I'll give you a call back. And please let me know what I can help you find, okay? And also, I want to make sure that you know that we're gonna see this video on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Wherever podcasts are seen, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and if you post anything underneath that helps me with the YouTube algorithm, share it. That helps me with the YouTube algorithm as well. Anyway, do you want to give your contact information, how people can get a hold of you?
Sure. If you'd like to, it's quite simple. It's the letters MTDCNC.com. Media channel, you can also find us on YouTube, same thing, MTDCNC.com. Also LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all that fun stuff. That's the company name. For me, I'm pretty much focused on LinkedIn. It's where I have about 40,000 connections and do a lot of my business. So LinkedIn is the more professional version of social media, I believe, at the moment. And it allows us to do a lot of creative things. So Tony Gunn is my first and last name. You are more than welcome to reach out anytime if you have any questions, thoughts, ideas, concerns, worries, all that fun stuff. I'm an open book. I'm a mess. I'm also sometimes pretty fun too. So if you want to reach out, I'd be happy to hear from you.
I asked him, and Tony Gunn is his real name. He was actually born with that name. What name did you say you were born with?
Legally, it's David Anthony Gunn, but I've always been called Tony
I think that's
for
a pretty
Anthony.
cool name.
And in Spanish, Antonio Pistolas.
Oh, do you speak Spanish? Are you
Yo
Spanish
hablo poco
too?
español. Mi esposa es mexicano.
Oh, okay. Okay, and how long have you been married now?
Ooh, when did we get married? 2010. August 2010 we got married.
And you have 2 kids, you said?
2 daughters, yes. One from the stories minutes and minutes and minutes ago from a different relationship. And the current one is with the wife, yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was 2 different relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful story. And do you have anything else to add today?
I don't think so, not unless you want to know more about me. I'm very curious about you as well. How did you get into podcasting?
So, well, everybody that watches my podcast knows that I was invited to be on another podcast that Ben does here called Crazy Rich Neighbors. Have you heard of that one?
I haven't, but it sounds fun.
Everyone that I tell about that podcast is like, whoa, that sounds like a good one. I got to watch that. So I met this girl, Mia, at Crazy Uncle Mike's. Have you ever been to Crazy Uncle Mike's?
I haven't.
It's fun. Would you live in East Boca or West Boca? Because that's a thing. East Boca, West Boca difference.
About a block from the ocean.
So East Boca.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we're both in East Boca. But anyway, we're kind of in Central Boca at Crazy Uncle Mike's listening to their bingo and music. They have 80s music or sometimes different kinds of music and bingo, which I sometimes would go after church. So I went after church one day and started talking to Mia. She worked out at my gym and everything. And then she said, something about she has a podcast. We exchanged numbers. The next day she calls me and says, hey, I talked to my partner and we want to see if you want to do our podcast. And I was like, oh, that sounds like fun, So I went and did a podcast that week. And then after the podcast, they were both like, oh my gosh, Mia, you were totally right. She was great. She has so many great stories, so much funny information. You need to have your own podcast. And so then I came over to talk to Ben here, the producer, and said, Ben, what do you think? And then I showed Ben the blogs that I have, 100 blogs. And he's like, oh my gosh, you've already got all the material right here. So that's how it happened.
And are you a crazy rich neighbor?
I'm a neighbor, for sure. I'm a neighbor. I'm working at being crazy and rich. I'm crazier and rich. I mean, I guess in Panama, I used to live in Panama for 10 years. They would call me Crazy instead of Tracy.
Really?
Yeah, because they don't have the name Tracy there. So they thought I was saying my name was Crazy. So they could call me Crazy. No, my name is Tracy. So.
And how does Tracy translate in Spanish?
I guess it translated into crazy.
That's obviously not the case for everyone.
Teresita. My mom used to tell me it was Teresita.
Okay, that's lovely.
I lived in Panama for 10 years.
Yeah, how was that?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
Fantastic. I loved living there. And then when I decided to come back because my daughters were coming back for school, I told you I have 4 daughters. Mm-hmm. I decided to come back to Miami because it's the most like Panama. Mm-hmm. And so I lived in Miami for 7 years. And then if you watch my first podcast about why did you leave Miami, you'll see why I just decided to make the jump and move in 3 days.
Sounds like a podcast worth watching.
I moved to Boca, and it's been wonderful ever since. It gets better and better every day here. I love it. I love Boca, and I love Florida.
Awesome. That's a wonderful way to conclude this whole thing, isn't it? Letting people know where you are and that you love it.
I think so, too. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Tracy, it's been a pleasure. I know it was last minute. I know you have some folks that had some COVID issues, apparently, which I didn't know about, actually, until just now.
Family emergencies. I'm like, wah, 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 like, okay, well, what do? Do I do it myself, or do I just have someone else to kind of spice it up a little bit? And I think that you did great at that. You were wonderful. I'm so glad that I reached out to you.
I'm happy for
that
as well.
You answered right away, and I was so pleased. Thank you so much.
I like to communicate. That's kind of our thing as well. So,
in case you can't tell, I'm a communicator too.
So it was a joy, and thank you for having me on the show. It's been lovely to talk a little bit about my story because, as you already know, because we're both in the same studio, I'm typically the one hosting and asking all the questions.
Right.
So having a bit of reverse was fun today. So thank you so much for that.
Good. It's wonderful having you. Thank you so much. And everybody, please don't forget to reach down below and tell us your answers, what you would do, and how you would feel if that happened to you. Talk to you later, guys.